You know, every great story has that one moment, that turning point, where one power fades and another just takes its place. Today, we're going to dive into one of history's most dramatic handovers ever. It's a story of revolution, of ashes, and the dawn of a golden age.
Now, what's really interesting is that our story actually begins at the end. Yeah, we're starting with an empire in flames, at the very moment a dynasty collapses. Just take a look at this. I mean, wow! Smoke is just billowing out of this magnificent building. There's debris all over the courtyard, and you can see a white banner just trampled in the rubble. This isn't just a battle. No, this is the final, dying breath of a dynasty.
So, a scene like this just begs the question, right? How on earth did one of the world's great empires fall so completely? To really understand the end, we've got to go back to the beginning.
That fallen banner we just saw, that belonged to the Umayyad Caliphate. And listen, this was no small kingdom. We're talking about a vast, powerful empire stretching across continents, all ruled from a spectacular capital. They were the established order, the power that seemed like it would last forever.
But while Umayyads ruled from their grand cities, something else was happening. Way out on the fringes of the empire, a new force was gathering, and it was all fueled by a really powerful idea. This is the story of the Black Banner's promise.
And talk about a stark contrast. Forget the grand cities for a second. Look here. Far from all that, out in the harsh, open desert, a completely different power was on the move. A caravan, silhouetted against the sun, marching under a single, ominous black flag.
Okay, this right here, this is the whole story in two pictures. It's brilliant. On the left, you've got the white banner of the Umayyads, tossed aside, defeated. And on the right, there's the black banner of the challengers, the Abbasids, rising up against the horizon. It's just a perfect visual of one world ending and a new one beginning.
So what's the deal with this black banner? What did it even represent? Well, it was the symbol of the Abbasid revolution. They were promising radical change. They argued the Umayyads had become too worldly, too corrupt. And the Abbasids? They offered this message of inclusion to non-Arab Muslims who kind of felt like second-class citizens, promising a return to the faith's core principles.
Look, a promise is one thing, but toppling an entire empire, that's a whole different ballgame. So how did they do it? How did this movement, born out in the desert, get strong enough to challenge the most powerful rulers in the land?
Honestly, it was a masterclass in revolutionary strategy. It started small, with secret preaching way out in the far-flung provinces of the empire. As their message started to spread, they gathered support from all sorts of unhappy groups. And then, once they hit that critical mass, boom, open rebellion. And from that point on, they had only one target, the capital city.
It's just an incredible story of momentum. I mean, what really began as just a whisper in the sands, an idea, a grievance, it grew into this massive political and military storm that was about to sweep across the entire Umayyad world.
And that storm, well, it was about to make landfall. Which brings us right back to where we started, to the climax of the revolution, the fall of a dynasty.
You know, there's that age-old saying that just captures this moment perfectly: no dynasty rules forever. And the Umayyads, for all their power, all their glory, were about to learn this lesson in the most definitive way you can imagine.
And so here we are, full circle. Those same black banners that first rose up from the desert, they're now flying over the conquered capital. The revolution had reached the very heart of the empire, and the old world was completely breaking apart. And let's be clear, this end was not some quiet negotiation. The Abbasid victory was swift, it was absolute, and it was brutal. They didn't just want to defeat the ruling family. They wanted to completely eradicate their power, their legacy, everything.
But you know, destruction is almost never the end of the story. There's always the question, what happens after the fire? What rises up from the ashes? And this is where the whole narrative shifts from an empire's fall to a new one's rise.
And this is where you can see the profound shift. The Umayyad Empire, it was really defined by military conquest. But the new Abbasid dynasty, they pivoted hard. They founded a brand new capital, Baghdad, and they totally transformed the empire's focus. Instead of just conquering, they started translating Greek philosophy, advancing mathematics, and creating this global center for culture, science, and trade.
And honestly, this is the most crucial takeaway here. That violent, dramatic revolution laid the groundwork for something absolutely extraordinary. From the ashes of the Umayyad Empire rose the Abbasid Caliphate, and that sparked the beginning of what we now call the Islamic Golden Age, a period of incredible intellectual and artistic flourishing.
So this history leaves us with a really powerful question to think about. When an empire falls, what is truly lost in all that destruction? And what is unexpectedly gained in the new world that rises from the ashes? It's a great reminder that history is just this continuous cycle of endings and new, often unpredictable beginnings.